I wish growth was linear, but it's not, man. You're like on this weird journey and you get cracked in the mouth. And then once about the time your jaw starts healing, you're like, oh, I learned something.
Bro, you think nobody told fucking 24-year-old AB not to date a porn star? And somebody told, hey, bro, I don't think you should date this girl.
Talk about an unteachable lesson.
You. Well, fuck you.
No,
don't date the porn
that
star.
Is an unteachable lesson. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do that anyway. Today on Love's Music, we have my personal friend, That Boy A.B. A.B. is a rapper entrepreneur with over 12 million plays on Spotify. He's sold out shows on the East Coast and the West Coast, and after an 8 to 9 year hiatus, he's back doing music again and here to talk about his new project. Up next on Love Music, That Boy A.B. Oh, A.B., man, thank you so much for joining me on Love's Music, my brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, and we've been friends for a long time, so you know a lot of my story already, so this should be pretty fun.
Absolutely, man. Dude, I also know how busy you are too. So just you putting away an hour for me just to chat is great. And as you say, we did a lot of music together. We got a couple songs together. So this interview has been a long time coming, man. So thank you for making time.
Yeah, have you gone back and listened to any of those recently?
I listen to Shut Up. Yeah, I listen to Shut Up like once a week. That's like my favorite joint of yours. I just listened to, I had Scalito on the other day. So I had the remix of the show with you, Scalito.
Oh, yeah.
We actually listened to it when the interview was done. And Scalito's like, I don't even remember recording this, man. It's on fire.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah,
man. It. That's a good tune, man. But you're an accomplished artist, man. I don't got to run down your whole resume for the folks. But if you were basically doing music in like the Jersey, Philadelphia area between like 2000, 2008, 2010, 11, you had to have been to one of your shows or at least heard your music. I mean, you had a nice buzz going in the area for, I want to say like 3 to 5 years, at least right in Philadelphia while I was doing music. Is my time correct? Yeah,
it was probably like 2012 to 2015-ish, or maybe a little bit longer, that 2016. Yeah, that's close. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you had hip hop party records, spent some time on the West Coast as well. And you had just as lucrative and just as much success there as well.
Yeah, it was fun out there. And, California, it's like when you go to the San Diego, LA area, there's so many people trying to do that. So you're like on the East Coast and you're in Philadelphia and there's some creatives, but then there's a lot of blue collar stuff. So when people see you doing it, they tend to like look down on it. You go out to the West Coast and like everybody's trying to be something. So it could either enhance you or like you've probably seen with a lot of people kind of eat you up too. Mm-hmm. I was out there for a little bit and I did some cool stuff and then really kind of stopped doing music when I got back to Jersey after that, which, I'm getting back into over the last 6 months.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, I mean, you were certainly undeniable, and the numbers don't lie. I think your biggest song has something like 10 million plays or something on Spotify.
Yeah, 10 I think 11 million now. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Good. And you were doing shows, getting paid for shows. I think out of everybody in our group, I think you were the only one to really be able to support yourself with original music. I mean, we all took a crack at it and kept day jobs and everything. I mean, you were a full-time musician for several years.
I was trying to be. I mean, I didn't have the business mind to monetize it, at that time. So I was just kind of scrapping around. But I do find that crazy because the guys that we were doing music with were like super talented. Yeah. And we were always just kind of making music with each other, but at the same time, waiting to see which, record would go. Right. And mine was kind of like, I looked back and realized like, there was one day I was in California. This was after I recorded, this song years prior. And I didn't even know it was getting the spins it was getting. And, I had uploaded stuff to TuneCore and I think I was going to upload another single. And all of a sudden I had like $500 in my TuneCore account. And I was like, what the hell is this? I don't think I had checked it in 6 months. I don't remember how many spins, that came out to, but it was probably maybe something like 100,000 spins. And I had no idea that I had a record that had started to move. And that was a really, really cool feeling. Well, probably one of the cooler ones I've had doing music. Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. When we think back about that time, what's the difference between your mindset then and your mindset now in terms of like how you view success, how you view accomplishment, how you weigh your commercial viability then versus now? Where now we kind of, as more of adults, we kind of do it more for fun and,
Yeah, I
whatever.
think most people will tell you like it's a young man's game. So I think when you start, it's a young man's game because we're ignorant to how much work and time we're gonna have to do, and we're kind of ignorant to what really could happen, what type of work ethic we need. We think every record's gonna be a hit record. We have no idea how to utilize the information and the feedback that we're getting from people to double down on what's working and throw away what's not. So, when I was doing music, I didn't even realize that I had found a formula, which was talking about life and relationships and something that people could relate to. And if I had just looked in my, Spotify artist account, it tells me the demographic of people that are listening to me, the gender of people that are listening to me, where they're listening from. So if I had any business sense at that time, I could have taken that information and monetized it. And so, now, I mean, I've owned the same business in the Outer Banks for 6 years. I've opened a nonprofit. The business has had some really good success, and I'm able to, use the information that I'm gathering and double and triple down on what works. Back then we're just running around having fun, dude. We're 20, 21, 25 to 30-year-olds, and we're going to shows and we're in the studio, and people our age are in this type of mindset where a lot of them are working corporate jobs, right? Or blue collar jobs, and they see us having fun, and they're either a little bit envious of it because they're not doing it, or they're rooting for us because they wanted to do it and never got around to it because life just happened, right? So we didn't realize at the time, but we were in this rare space, and I'm not sure any of us really understood how to take advantage of it. At the same time, I can tell you right now, I'm so much more comfortable in my own skin talking about that stuff than I was previously, where I knew people would listen to it, but I didn't want to double down on it because of the emotional, the vulnerable situation I felt like it put me in. Whereas now I realize the vulnerability is my biggest strength.
Absolutely. Like I
Yeah.
vacillate between, was what I doing, was I just some like dumb kid chasing a dream, or was what we were doing actually genuinely special and we just quit before we popped,
Right.
And it's like, and it's weird because you'll never really know, right? It's one of those things you can speculate about. Maybe I was one song away, maybe I was 20 years away, but you don't really know.
And that's the thing. Like I started, so quick story. And I was never planning on getting back into music. And, you've heard some of my tracks recently. I think they're far and beyond anything I was putting out then, because I'm just so comfortable in my own
Really
skin. And I
good.
have just confidence based on how I've gotten through life from that time to now. Like there's things that I've been through, there's things that I overcome. I'm just a more confident person. But I was down in South America recently, and I was staying with a friend of a friend, and they tell me just randomly that one of the people staying in this house that we're staying in is one of the producers for Bad Bunny, J Balvin. Like he's got tracks, and went into his room. We started talking to him. He's recording with artists. They're coming through the house all the time. And we had just kind of formed a friendship. It wasn't really based around music. I was just, I love the process, right? So I'm sitting in the room while people are recording. And then there's this day that I hear him making this beat, and I'm like, this beat is crazy. It sounded a lot like Bad Bunny's Morocco or Monaco. What is it called? Monaco, I think.
Yeah.
Track. And I was like, bro, I talked to him the next day. I was like, I heard the beat you were making last night. Like, it's absolute fire. And he was like, bro, like no one's like taking it. No one wanted to get it. And I was like, send it to me because I really like it.
I think
right?
I know a home for that.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, see what you could do with it. Write something and then we'll record it. So it took me about, I think 3 days. Cause if you haven't written in a while, it has to kind of, come back. It's not as easy. So we get in the studio one day and we're recording it. It comes out incredible. And he's like raving to people about it. And he's like, bro, you need to do music. And I was like, there's like, this isn't by
There
chance,
we
right? Like
go.
I didn't
Yeah.
just go to Medellin, and
Yeah.
I wasn't even in Medellin. I was in a town like 40 minutes south of it. We just randomly happened to be staying with one of my buddy Joe's friends. And then this producer who's made these massive records with millions of streams happens to be there.
Right.
And then I record with them at no cost, right? Just
Yeah.
because we were vibing. And I'm like,
So
all right,
starting to
there's
feel like
like,
fate, right?
yeah, there's something going on here,
Right.
right? So, but then I get back to America and I kind of settle back in and I start making songs and I'm like listening to my old stuff. I'm like, my old stuff sucks. Like I'm not even on beat on some of these songs. My voice isn't matured. So that's the only reason I really started recording again. When you get like a cosign from someone with like real industry accolades, it kind of changes how you view yourself. So I really didn't have the confidence to keep recording music because I had gotten so far into my business stuff and I love it and I enjoy it. But lucky for me, I have 8 months off a year for the most part because I own a seasonal business.
Right.
And so I get to have a creative outlet. And I think it's helped my mind too. So it's been cool, man. And I'm looking forward to putting new music out because it is matured, if not anything else.
Absolutely. Even if the music was as good as it was then, with the mindset you have right now, dangerous. You're dangerous.
Yeah.
You know?
We did it once, right? I was like,
Right.
I did one, do another one, and I never even put money into that one. So it's exciting. It's exciting.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So what would a good short-term goal look like for you? Like if we were having this conversation in say April, what would success look like? If we were having this conversation in 2029, what would success look like for you?
Short term, it's to get any type of re-engagement or addition from the people who are already listening to the songs on Spotify and Apple and YouTube now. So if we can engage these listeners with the same type of feel and the same type of songs, and we have 2 or 3 songs going like that one song did, and we start collecting information on that, that gives us the opportunity to then start spending money, right? Right. So we're going to release some records, engage the people who are already listening to us. So we would hope by summertime, we've engaged enough people where they're starting to look for new music rather than just find it. Mm-hmm. And once they're looking for it, we have the statistics to then start running maybe some type of ads or start automating some systems where all I have to do at this point is put out some music and everything we've built system-wise is going to create everything else for us. So there's a lot of tools out there that we had to do everything ourselves at that point. And it was difficult.
Social media. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't have social media, didn't have AI. Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to doing that. That would be the short and the intermediate goal. Yeah.
Where do you see some of the parallels in your conventional business that are starting to lend itself to the success in your current music venture?
Yeah, I think it's not even, it's systems and all the like cliche answers that I can give you, but it's just knowing and understanding that you're going to have periods of good time and periods of bad time. Mm-hmm. And neither of those times are going to last that long, right? Like, yeah. I'll just the other day, man, I was having like a bad week because of the business stuff. And I brought that stuff into the studio with me, like that mindset into the studio. And for the first time ever being in the studio, I had to stop doing vocals. Like I couldn't get the vocals out the right way. Now I've had times where I couldn't write. I've had times where songs didn't come out the way that I wanted them to come out after listening, but I never had a time where I was like an hour and a half in, I was like, I can't even lay these vocals right. And so, stuff like that could be discouraging, but it's just, I just know from running the business, managing people, doing all that type of stuff that this is going to last a day or two or a week or however long it lasts. And then I get back in and I don't bring it with me back the next time. And then when I'm on some highs and I'm making a bunch of great music and everything's coming easy and I'm writing every song I'm doing in a half hour, that's not going to last. I have to realize that there's going to be days where it takes me 3 hours to write a song. And I just have to kind of lock down and dig in and just get it done, whether I feel like doing it or not. So more of a mindset than anything I've like really pulled from business. I've just developed more of a a wall to be able to climb.
If somebody was going through something similar to like what you're going through, right? And they want to say, okay, well, how do you get yourself out of the funk? Is it a matter of just waiting and kind of embracing the truth that it won't last forever? Or are there specific tools or things that you're telling yourself outside of it won't last forever that somebody would be able to take with them?
I think everybody's got different tools that work for them. So like I have tools that work for me that may not work for somebody else. One of the things I do is I pray. So like after the session, I was just having a really hard couple days, and I went and I sat in my car and I prayed. And for me, that kind of puts it out into the universe to lift it off my shoulders. So whether you believe in God or whether you don't, I think we all believe in energy. And I think just putting good stuff into the universe and asking, just anything to kind of take away the burden or to allow you to deal with it is just helpful in its own way. And then frankly, I think a lot of us, when we can't control something, we try to force it, right? We all do it when something's not being explained the right way, or we're arguing with a person, or we want a specific outcome. We really try to force it. And for me, I've learned that trying to force that, it never works. So for me, I would try to double down. I'm like, I have to get this done. Like I'm ready to record this. It's taking a step back and like saying, I'm not going to the studio for the next 4 or 5 days so I can breathe a little bit. And I'm taking a trip up to Philly. And then when I get back down, I'm going to go back into the studio, but not trying to force it. It's a big one. And, not kicking myself when I'm down. Like we all have a tendency to do that. Yeah. Like I'm going to kick myself for this one session where I literally walked out of the booth doing vocals, and I'm going to concentrate on that for the next 3 days. But I've had 700 studio sessions where they all went out, and I haven't thought about that once, right?
Yeah.
So it's so easy to walk out and be like, man, what was that? And then carry it back into the next session. Or I can reframe it and I'm like, I'm 699 for 700, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, right.
So like that's a pretty good batting average.
It's like nobody's meaner to us than us. You know what I mean? Dude. If I treated somebody else the way I treat myself, I'd be the worst person in the world. But we'll just continually treat ourselves that way,
there's this statistic, people with pets were polled, and they were tracking and asking them how likely they were, like one group, how likely they were if their pets got prescribed something for them to finish the full course of antibiotics for their pets. Right. And then how likely they were to do it. And they were like 30% and their pets were like 95%. And it's like, we just treat we're so much better to everything else than we are to ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. One of the most overrated pieces of advice I hear, right? And this may be controversial, might not be, is people say, believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. And I always think is the most cliche statement. Reason being is, have you ever listened to Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO?
Yeah, of course.
And he says, he's like, you can't control your beliefs, right? Your beliefs are a product of your outside stimulus. If I'm like, pro wrestling is real, right? And I'm like, Aaron, do you believe that it's real? And you're like, I don't believe it. And I'm like, I'll pay you to say that it's real. You can say it's real, but the belief won't change, right? You can't change your beliefs. So to tell an artist to just go out there and turn on your beliefs, I think it's nonsense. You know what I mean? Belief comes from evidence.
Yeah.
What do you say as somebody who clearly believes in themselves? Like I've seen you bet on yourself and win.
Yeah.
What do you say to that, conflict? Do you think that's good advice? Do you think it's overrated? And if you don't, what does believing in yourself actually mean to you?
I think you hear a lot of these stories and people are like, nobody believed in me. And, everybody doubted me. And I don't think that that's ever totally true. I think what matters more to some people than others is the validation of the people closest to them. And then some people want the validation from all the strangers and everybody else that's far away. So I think you gain that belief with a stack of proof, but for instance, like if you just convert this to business, a customer paying you, like it doesn't matter whether or not my mom or my sister or my friend believes in me. As soon as a customer pays me for the service, that means they believe in my business. Right. So the belief ultimately starts with you. Like initially you might believe, and then you might go through this period where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work. It seems like nobody is believing as me as much as I believe in myself. Now there's doubt casts.
Right.
And you have to either work through that breakthrough yourself to see if it actually comes, or there's going to be someone close in your circle that's like, hey, man, just like you got something good, just keep pushing it. But I think if you're only believing in yourself for a long period of time and nothing's coming of it, then maybe your product or service just isn't that good.
Right.
And there's got to be a realization there too. So you have to gather feedback. And if you have good friends and family, they're going to give you the feedback that you need and not the feedback that you want. So the belief might actually come from them being like, hey, this is really good, but you're doing this incorrectly. And if you're mature enough, you can take that information, restructure, and put it back out. But I don't think like necessarily delusional belief in yourself is a healthy thing even. I think you need to be able to show people the service or product, get some constructive feedback, and either change your approach from there or shift to what the market is telling you you need to shift to. So that's kind of a long answer, but you know, as far as my belief in myself, my belief comes from, like you said, I have a massive stack of proof. Like if I'm ever in a situation where I'm like, I don't believe in my music anymore, I can go to the producer that's in the industry that just told me how good this song was that I can just made. And I can go to my streaming account and see that this song has 12 million plays. And I can go on Spotify and see that this one has 60,000 plays or whatever it is. And so there's proof there. I can go into my business account and see that, my business grossed 500 grand in 3 months last year. So there's proof of this works, right? If you don't have that proof and you've been doing something for 6 to 12 months, you have to think about whether or not you have a good product or service, right? So it's going to come from feedback. You can't just believe your way into everything you want. You have to be able to believe in the feedback that you're getting.
I think with art in particular, I think it's the hardest for artists and creatives to be honest with themselves than in pretty much any other endeavor. If I walk into a football field and I suck, it's going to be pretty obvious I suck.
Yeah,
if I try to sell cars and I close 2 for 10, it's going to be like, all right, this maybe isn't for you.
Yeah.
But like as an artist, you'll be like, I just know it's going to work. I just know it's going to work. Or you'll be like, my stuff's good. It has to be them. There's this idea that like my song's dope. It's them. They're just not getting it. But you wouldn't do that with any other profession. Like if I started selling turtlenecks in Florida, you'd be like, maybe that's not the best product for, 100-degree weather,
Right.
And it would be obvious. And you'd be able to take that criticism and shift. But I think we're so emotionally attached to the art, which is fine as long as you don't want to be commercially viable. But you don't want to get, you don't get both. You don't get to be like, all right, I'm dedicated to this particular sound that no one's responding to. So it's your fault you're not responding,
But the other thing is the people typically, and I know you've seen this, and we did this to each other when we were younger. Typically, we're too afraid to say to our brother or to our good friend, like, hey, man, like, this ain't it. You know what I mean? Like, we never said that to each other. We were always gassing each other up. But I know the reality of the situation was we were doing music with some people who just sucked. Right. And what it doesn't mean that if they took constructive, we were just scared to tell them that like, hey, man, maybe you should change this. Maybe you should change this. And I know art is also like, it's something that there's so many different opinions on sounds and this and that. So for me, I could say that I think something sucks, but there's a whole, slew of people who might think it's good. So it's not always correct. But I think we were doing it in a time where we just were too young and maybe emotionally immature to give true, respectable feedback to each other at times. Like I wish, man, I had a buddy sat me down because I made this club song when I was in Medellin. And my best friend, Joe, he sat me down. He's like, look, man, like it sounds good and it's cool, but like it's not always genuinely you when you do it. And it comes off differently when I listen to it. I was like, I go back and I listen to enough. He's like, your lane is relatability, life, and relationships. He's like, you doing the club shit is not going to get you anywhere. And for me, I'm like, I do whatever the fuck I want, right? Like I
Yeah.
have this and
Yeah.
that, but
Right.
I have
Yeah.
to be able to take that shit because he's right. And
Mhm.
I didn't have a friend like that back then that was like, hey man, stick to this because
Mm.
obviously the
Right.
numbers tell you it's working, right?
Yeah.
Nobody did that. And I wish somebody did, I wish they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe a part of it is what's called like an unteachable lesson, right? Even if we were to come to you when you're, say, 22, I'm just picking a number. I come to you
Right.
when you're 22 and I'm like,
Mhm.
bro, that ain't it. And at 22, you're like, the ideal thing would you be like, oh, cool. All right, I'll change it. Let me revise this. But you
Right.
actually have to go out. It's almost like The Alchemist, right? Where you go out and you go on the journey to realize the answer was back at home. That's not the same as just realizing it at home. Like you need to go full circle to come back. So even if you would have heard back then, I don't know, man. Maybe this is the correct lane, or maybe we need to switch this. You almost need to have the full circle experience so you can get to where
Yeah.
you're at now, and you're like, oh, that's what my
100%.
authentic self's supposed to sound like.
100%. If you're right. If someone had said that to me at 22, I'd have been like, "Fuck you."
Right? Yeah.
I'll make the kind of music I want to
think
make.
all of
It's
us.
gonna work.
I have a whole drive. I have a whole hard drive. And fuck you.
Yeah,
Stuff I thought was
yeah,
dope. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it could be, but
Yeah.
again, it's like music is one of those frequencies, man. That like you have to be genuine to your own energy. It's like one of those things where you just have to, or it's not going to work.
So, what do you say to the artist who is completely genuine and authentic, but they're not really getting the numbers? Do they stay consistent and stay authentic, or do they shift with the market if the goal is to be commercially viable?
Yeah. If you've put out enough music and I'm not talking about like you've done 5 to 10 tracks over 6 months. If
Right.
you've spent a year or two making music, posting content, because that's very important today. People have to know who you are. I haven't done a good enough job of doing that at this point. But if you're posting content, even content creators, this goes for anybody doing creative
Right.
stuff. If you've
Yeah.
put out 100 videos or 50 songs or anything like that, and there's no traction yet, it's just zero, something's off. Either the product isn't good, the lyrics aren't good, the beats aren't good. Like there's something in there that's off. And if you ask people that aren't close friends of yours, if you just like reach out to some people that are like, hey, I really respect your musical opinion, I really would like you to be honest with me. I've put out 50 songs. Here's a couple of them. I haven't gotten any traction yet. What do you think it is? And if you ask 5 people that you respect their musical opinions about, hopefully 3 of them are honest with you and give you some feedback. Because it could be as simple as like someone could have some amazing voice, but if the beat is poorly constructed and it's not mixed right, it's not going to come out the same way, right? So they just might need a better engineer. Like,
Yeah.
so I would think you have to shift if you've put out enough content. If you haven't,
Yeah.
then maybe the answer you
It's
put out
volume.
5
Yeah.
songs, then you haven't put out enough music to know.
Yeah. What do you say about experimental music that still breaks through, right? We've all heard a song that's huge now, but wasn't supposed to be a hit, right? Kendrick broke through with that swimming pools joint. Why you politicking with these 2 or 3 shots? I'm gonna show you how to turn it up a notch. You take a swim. If I walked into an A&R with that long ass hook without any chance or anything in it, they'd be like, "This isn't a hit. What are we doing?" Puts Kendrick on the map, though.
Yeah.
So when do you know to take the gamble on something that isn't widely accepted and not the safe route, or you're supposed to pivot because what you're doing is a little too left?
Yeah, I don't think people think about that too much, to be honest, because I think Kendrick was staying true to himself. He always did that type of music. He was coming up doing that type of stuff. Every time we do a track, for me, realistically, because nobody knows me, it's experimental. Like I'm not trying to sound like anybody else, right? So like we're all going into the studio, spending our hard-earned money because we believe that whatever we're about to produce is going to be good enough where people are going to listen. Otherwise, we wouldn't take the time and the money to do it, right? So I think, when we talk about experimental stuff, everybody's experimental stuff sounds different. There's not a specific thing that experimental sounds like, right? So, there wasn't anybody at the time doing necessarily those like crazy voices that Kendrick does, but there was people like, for instance, like Nicki Minaj that were experimenting with like sounding weird on tracks and doing like the raising the voice and the different tones. So, I mean, you know, everybody does it first. A lot of times another artist opens the door for you, but you know, I think the experimental term is just like, we're all trying to experiment with what we are. So yeah, that's a great question though. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we can tend to treat the music industry almost like a buffet, right? You know, I want to do something very specific here with the instruments. I want to invest this amount of dollars, but I want this result, right? And it's like, I don't think you can get all three, you know? I think the people that do it really well go into it like, I'm going to treat it like a business, and their behavior reflects a business. Yes, it's creative, but it reflects a business. And then you have artists that are like, hey, I just want to create art. And they make incredible art, totally disregarding the business, yet still break through anyway, because it's so avant-garde and so weird, like a Chaperone or like an early Queen, you know, like when Bohemian Rhapsody came out, you know?
Yeah.
I think something you did really well is Got That, man. Because even when you were younger, man, there was like a business mind that you had that none of us really had.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what was cool when we were younger too is like the social media stuff was new. So it was newer. So in 2012, posting yourself every day on Instagram and YouTube has a different effect than posting yourself now, because there's millions of content creators. Whereas back then, people didn't have podcasts. They didn't have their own shows. If they had their own shows, they were on cable TV, not on Instagram or YouTube. So, you know, I had this conversation with my sister because she's helping with me with some of the marketing stuff now. She's been doing corporate marketing for a really long time. And she's like, you just have to remember, it's not the same formula anymore. Like, you benefited from the fact that you were an earlier earlier white rapper that knew how to rap, but you were posting yourself on social media all the time, and nobody was people weren't doing that much yet. So you were able to break through in this algorithm, right? So it was definitely favorable to me. You know, at that point, I forget what the initial question was. Just went on a little tangent.
I made the comment that that people treat music like a buffet, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I want the accolades, but I want to be super original, but I want to also be able to weird, but I still want to be myself. And it's like, well, yeah, there's a track to revenue, and then there's a track to be super creative, you know? And I think people try to like mix the two worlds, and I think that's why you get so discouraged, right? You know?
Well, it's a lot to do too, man.
Yeah.
Like think about how much writing and recording a song takes out of you.
Yeah.
And then try to add content creation on top of that.
Have you ever heard the statistic? They said great music is only 20% of the music industry. So if you have awesome songs, like killer songs, great, you're 20% of the way there. Yeah. Like you've only done 20% of what it needs to succeed. Do you think that ratio is correct?
Yeah, because think about it in business terms. I have a great service I want to offer. Cool. Yeah. What is it? Who knows about it? Like, has anyone purchased it yet? Do you have any proof that it works? Like, there's the marketing is so crucial, man. You know, it's great. Like for my business, when I started it, I was literally just posting on Facebook groups in the Outer Banks and undercutting companies that already had put that service out. So people knew that type of service existed, and I didn't have a website. I had a Facebook page. I didn't have a website. I didn't have my own tents yet. I was using like somebody else's like cheap tents. Yeah. And the marketing was what made me enough money to purchase all my own stuff, start a website the next year. So the product had nothing to do with it. The product already existed. I marketed it. I put it in front. It's not even just marketing, because we can market something and I put it in front of 100,000 of the wrong people. Like if I'm taking the beach service stuff and I'm putting it on Philadelphia pages, nobody's going to buy my service, right? No beach. So it's targeting the right people and getting it in front of the right people that are going to take advantage of it. And that's something you don't know unless you have the information, which is what like something like Spotify for artists gives you, for instance. So that's what excites me the most, is like I have now 10 years of this information. And it's been consistent over the 10 years. So I know exactly exactly who to go after. I even know what cities to go into, right?
That makes sense. It's there's a great Warren Buffett quote. It doesn't matter how hard you row if you're in the wrong boat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
My boy takes a paddle onto the cruise ship, you know?
Hey,
It's
what
a
are you
little
doing,
extra,
bud?
little extra strokes. You don't need that, bud. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, right. I don't know if do you watch Joe Budden's podcast at all?
Just the clips,
Yeah,
not full episodes.
me
Yeah.
too. Just the clips mostly.
Yeah.
And he has this great clip. He's like reading from another, maybe it was like an A&R or some executive, and he said people think that it's talent that's costing people a shot in the music industry, and he said it's not talent or the work ethic. What really kills dreams is silence, because people's nervous system can't take the burden of being unseen for so long. It just feels so weird, pouring all this like effort and hard work and time and energy and sometimes money into this art, and everyone's ignoring you. And it like messes up your nervous system, you know? So it's not just the talent. He's like, it's the emotional endurance that breaks stars. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, how many businesses did we try to start in our 20s, bro?
Yeah.
How discouraging was it after the seventh one?
Yeah.
And same result. Like nobody wanted it. And we're just throwing shit against the wall, hoping our family and friends will start something up for us. But our family and friends were never the ones that were going to purchase the product. You know, I have been trying to be an entrepreneur since I was 23, 24 years old. Really earlier, because I was doing music, right? That's entrepreneurship as well.
Yeah. Right.
But when you start getting into this position where you really want to start making some more money, and you spend time making the website, and then you put a little bit of money into the products or service, and then you start telling your friends and family about it, and you get like one response over like a month of like 50 people you've talked to. And it's either that like they don't trust you, which maybe was my problem at the time because I wasn't living life the right way, or the product just isn't in front of the right people. So it is discouraging. It can mess up your nervous system. I got really lucky, man, because I think I was in that pit for a long time where I had tried to do so many things and nothing worked. The only reason that I'm even in the position that I'm in today with my business is because I had a mentor that believed in me and in what I was doing and encouraged me to branch off from what he was doing. So like when I started my beach business, I didn't have my own equipment because I didn't have my own money. And I had a mentor that was like, hey man, like, you know, if you want to make some extra money, you know, I don't want to hear anything from the customers, but we have some like extra umbrellas and chairs. If you want to market this and people will pay you to do it, and you want to do setups before we start the day and after we leave the day, make your own money. He was like, cool. And I was like, it was really cool that he believed in me and gave me that opportunity. But then once somebody gives you that opportunity, because we're all in that pit that you're just talking about, you get discouraged, your nervous system, someone gives you an opportunity, but then you don't take advantage of it, you're just going to stay there for the rest of your life. And he had told me after I had taken advantage of that and after I started the business, he's like, do you know how many people I told could do that? And you were the only one that did it. And so I was just like, I was begging, like, you know, you ever like think when you're in your 20s, and I know it's not the way it works now, but you're like, man, like someone saved me, bro. Like someone saved me, because I'm having a hard time. And
we've all been there.
Saving you, we all think saving you is like someone just gives us this opportunity and like, or like hands us a bunch of money and they're like, I believe in you, dude. And that's just not the way it works. Like someone presents you with something that you could potentially work for, and you have to take another swing at it, right? So our beach day started at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't do our last pickup till 7. So if I wanted to do that outside of work hours, I had to wake up at 3:30 in the morning, start doing my setups at 4 o'clock in the morning so that I could be at work by 6 a.m., work all day. And then when we were done our last setup at 7 o'clock, go back out and pick up my stuff until 9 o'clock. So I spent 90 straight days that summer almost, waking up at 3:30 in the morning and not going to bed until 9:30 at night every single day. Wow. And then that's just what it took. But someone was kind enough to give me that opportunity. So you have to help yourself when the opportunity presents itself. And I think people get so discouraged and they get so down that when some opportunity slaps them in the face and they have to work for it, they just say to themselves, once again, this isn't going to work.
Right.
I've done
Absolutely.
this 15 times. It's not going to work.
Yeah. I know I'm plagiarizing it from somebody, but they were like, the right answer is not going to come as like a comfy chair with a big lit up sign that says, this is the right answer. It's going to be some shitty task, buried a bunch of hard work, but that's going to be the key that saves you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep. And it was tough, man. It was a tough summer that summer, but
I can imagine. Well, I think even if situations like that aren't the actual like end result, like, you know, that's the end game. I think that those tough situations like mold you and kind of prepare you for the bigger opportunities down the road. You know, I mean, we came up, I think you and I we're about a generation apart, you know, and so we're watching a generation of people that grew up just believing that they were special. Like, people want to see me eating breakfast with my phone like this. That's insane to me. You know what I mean? Like, imagine going back to 1994 and explaining to my 13-year-old self, like, yo, you're special, so special that someone is going to log onto Instagram and look at pictures of you at a concert going like this.
Yeah.
That'd be like, you're out of your mind. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to be like, you ain't shit. So like anything positive or any opportunity was like, yeah, let me get that. And now you're watching the almost like the overcorrection of that, where it's like the next generation of kids were like, hey, you really do have something to offer, and you are special, and you are, you know, good. And they're like, oh, and so then the work ethic went like this, and the self-esteem went like this, you know?
Yeah. And here's the flip side of that, man. I think people younger than us are having so much rougher of a time because when they go on social media and they see people making money in that way, they think these people are just turning the camera on and recording themselves, and it blew up. And I can tell you, just from making my own content with trying the sports podcast out, and you can probably speak to it in what you're doing right now. It's one thing to record these episodes, and then there's hours of if you don't have the budget for someone else to edit it, or you want it done a specific way, you're in there editing it yourself. And so that takes hours and hours on end. And then you have to upload it to every platform, which I know there's websites that do that, but there's time that it takes to upload, time it takes to distribute. There's a cover you have to put on it. You have to prepare before you come on this podcast with all the questions specific to the artist that you're talking to. So there's research that goes into that. So this, however long we're on, 45-minute, hour-long episode, it takes you probably 5 to 6 hours to do this, and you're doing it, you know, a couple times a week. So I think there's this delusion that people are just turning on a camera. It's like, yeah, once I've developed the audience, I'll turn on the camera live and they'll watch. And some people do it live and they just have such a gift of personality and gift of gab that those rare people do blow up a little bit easier. But everything that surrounds what you're doing requires so much work. And there's a lot of people that start doing it and they're like, why isn't this working? And it's like, you haven't prepped, you didn't ask the right questions, you didn't edit the right way, and you're not branding what you're doing. And so there's an entire business that surrounds this 45-minute to an hour recording, right?
And even if you do everything right, factor in time. Like, negotiating starts, like, oh, you want to be a successful podcaster? Negotiation starts somewhere around 300 episodes in 5 years. And that's if you're talented, you know. Are there exceptions? Sure. Some, you know, smoking hot girl with a sex positive podcast, I'm sure is going to garner a bunch of eyeballs right out of the gate. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But for the average Joe, probably most people, from the time you hit play on episode 1, we're talking 250, 300 episodes, 4 or 5 years of consistency.
Yeah.
And then talk to me about sponsors and
and just like you said, unless you're not even a 9 out of 10, unless you're an 11 out of 10, camera friendly, or you have the most likable personality that I've ever seen, the chances of you getting it 20 episodes, 30 episodes in is zero. It's just zero, you know? So
absolutely. And that can be discouraging, and it can be depressing too, because I think people, even knowing that it's going to be hard work, have such an unrealistic time horizon on their success. Because it really is like, imagine running a race. And even if it's a longer distance, and you're like, yo, we got to run 3 miles. I can get to a mile and a half and be like, dude, all right, I'm good. I know I got a mile and a half left. This like creativity, art, music, you're running and you don't know where the end is. You know, like is my story as a musician a 10-year story, or is it a 2.5-year story on VH1 music? We're gonna knock this bad boy out in like 3 episodes. Or is this like a 20-year thing? You know what I mean? Where I don't break through with a good song until I'm like 48, 49 years old, or anywhere in between. You don't know.
And that's the importance of getting to love the process over the result. You know what I mean? So I do this all the time, man. It's so easy for me to focus on the result in the middle of my summer. Cause you know, we do, although I only work for 4 months a year, it's a sprint, right? It's a 4-month sprint. So I don't get a day off for those 4 months. And there's a lot of people that say, I would trade that for not having to work 365 days, no weekends, no breaks. It's grueling. And I find myself very often date watching. And when you start date watching on July 1st and the season ain't over till October 1st, you're in for some shit, right?
Yeah.
And so we're just like waiting for it to slow down, But I've had to like really learn to stay in the process. And that's also helped me with it's going to help me with the music stuff moving forward. But you know, I was always outcome focused when I was doing music before.
I don't know if you know her from doing shows in Philadelphia. You know, Ally McGuire, AMAC. She was the engineer at Dobbs. Yeah. She ended up actually going on tour with Fetty Wap and Post Malone doing sound for them. She actually has a platinum plaque for a record she recorded for Joji. Like really interesting. And she says, as somebody who's kind of been to the mountaintop of engineering, you know what I mean? I mean, you engineer a platinum album. Like you're kind of like it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, and she was like, the most important thing and the best advice I can give somebody is if you focus on the accolades, it's kind of another unteachable lesson. You think the accolades are going to make you happy. And then somebody who has the accolades are like, hey man, it's not going to make you happy. And then you're like, I kind of still want the accolades. She was like, you're going to burn out. You're going to be depressed. And then you're going to get all the way there and realize it's not even what you wanted. The focus should be, like you said, the journey, but not so much the journey, not the sleepless nights, not just focusing on the difficulty, but what do you want your experience to be like making music? So she broadens the perspective by saying, okay, I want to do music. Great. Are you around people that love you and care about you while you're making the music? World of difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are you around people that care about you, that kind of hold a mirror up to your greatness and build you up instead of tearing you down? Yeah. Then now making music. Now we have a journey that I can actually go on for 5 years. You know? Is the vibes in the studios good? Does it stink? Is it cigarette ashes all over the place? You know? Or is it like a cool, comfy place where I feel safe and creative? You know what I mean? That's now I can do that for 5 years, you know?
Sure.
And I thought it was such an awesome perspective.
Oh, dude, I could tell you a brutal story. You know, when I first started my business, and I'm talking about like the year that I was just telling you about, the 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. I was dating someone during that time, and the relationship kind of fell apart because like I was so busy and we just weren't like there was other things that happened and I messed some things up, but there was just a big big burden on me I had tasted some success after 10 to 15 years of like really trying to make some money doing something on my own. And there was no woman in the world that was going to be more important than once I got that taste, right? So me and that girl had broken up. I go into the next season. I have the website. I have the equipment. I got some employees even. Like it went that fast. Wow. We took some pre-orders. By the first week of June, we sold out my first year by the first week of June, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pumped, dude. Like I made more money that year. We grossed $150,000 in 3 months that year in my first season, right? And so all of a sudden I got a truck. I got a house on the beach in Kerala, and all these things that over that 12-year period I was trying to be an entrepreneur. I was just like, man, my life would be so much easier. I'd be so much happier if I had all this stuff. If I could just get one of these things to pop, I had my own business. I didn't have to work for anybody. I didn't have to worry about my car breaking down because I had enough money to fix it and I'm in this house and whatever. And so I get all of it. In the first year I start my business, I get all of it. And I'm sitting in this house, this 4-bedroom house in December on the beach, and I'm fucking miserable, isolated, no family around, right? Like my friends are up in, Philadelphia and New Jersey. And I'm looking around this house. I'm like, I literally have everything that I thought I wanted from just 2 years ago. I had a drug problem. I was broke. I had I have everything I ever wanted, and I'm fucking miserable. Why? Because I literally just built a business in this isolated place based off really what drove me was this kind of resentment I had for my ex-girlfriend from the breakup. And I'm like, I'm gonna show her this business is gonna be so good. So I'm sitting here with all this stuff with this business I built on a resentment, and I'm miserable, Yeah. And it was like a really, really difficult lesson to learn. Really difficult.
That's what they say. Loneliness doesn't come from empty rooms. It comes from having things that are important to you that you can't share with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. So I'm sure sitting in a home now, you don't have that same, because now you're a lot more emotionally stable and intelligent. You can be by yourself. But yeah, I couldn't imagine having that degree of success and sitting there by myself. I guess just me, Netflix, and my just full bank account. You know what I mean? That means nothing at this point,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what is it all for? And so, watering the relationships, man, is really, really what got me out of that rut. I just started to form some much better relationships, keep in touch with people a little bit more, and using my money not to buy things, but to cater to some experiences with people that I really like being around. And that's been made a huge difference. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So what do you tell to the next AB that comes up behind you? Young guy, all this energy, all this potential, but just doesn't have direction. You have a 30-second conversation with him. What do you tell him?
Can't fucking tell him anything, dude. I can't, right? I couldn't tell that guy anything. I think everybody's really big on wanting to get advice. If you want some business advice, man, and there's something specific you want to do and you need to implement a system or you need to market the right way, and you reach out to me and you're like, hey man, I saw you do this. I want to know everything, how do I do this? I can sit here and tell you. But for me to ever go up to anybody and sit them down hey man, this is what I think you should do. Oh, hey, get the fuck. Get the fuck.
We're those guys now. I mean, now we're the weird old guys.
So it's man, I think experience is the best teacher. And I think it's really easy to sit down and try to give someone advice. But I also believe, especially with something like music, man, everybody's path is so different, dude. Yeah. There's people they're going to listen to. There's people they're not going to listen to. You could tell them to do something, they'll not do it. You could tell them not to do something, they're going to try for themselves. We all do that in our own lives. So I don't think I have any advice, but I think if someone were to say, hey, I'm 100% going to listen to your advice, I just be like, man, have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously and double down on what works. And that's it.
Bro, that's golden advice. You know what I mean? I mean, you can go far just having good perspective, like you said, not taking yourself too seriously. Treat the important things like they're important. Forget the things that you can't control, and know that it's going to rain some days, dude. You know what I mean?
And it's a mental game. You can't explain that to someone without life experience. So if someone's 22 and you try to tell them they have to develop their mental, it's what does that mean? Go meditate? They got to learn through whatever they have to learn through the hardship they go through and how they get over it. And they're not going to it's not going to stick until it's traumatic enough to stick. You have to hit some trauma in order for it to be traumatic enough for you to make a change that positively affects where your life's going, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like growth, I wish growth was linear. Every time you read a book, you get a little smarter. Every time you get a rep, you get incrementally strong. But it's not, man. You're on this weird journey and you get cracked in the mouth. And then about the time your jaw starts healing, you're like, oh, I learned something. And you might not get cracked again for a while, but that's how you grow. You know what I mean? You survive freaking hell. And then when you come out on the other end, you're like, I'm not the same person, Yeah,
bro.
And I wish it was just like this. I wish it was just a steady incline and that's how you got better.
Bro, you think nobody told fucking 24-year-old AB not to date a porn star? And somebody told, hey, bro, I don't think you should date this girl.
Talk about an unteachable lesson.
Well, fuck you.
Now
Don't date the porn
that is an
star.
unteachable lesson. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do that anyway.
Yeah, I'm definitely
You're
going to do
not going to
that.
be able to teach me anything here. But
I'm going to
I
do
heard
it
what
just
you're
for the
saying. I can
story.
see for myself.
Yeah. I can't tell a 24-year-old guy that. You're crazy.
You kidding me? Yeah. That's hilarious, man. So my brother, if there's one way that we can support you, man, I know you got a lot coming up. I can't wait for all this stuff, man. But we got to get plugged in, man. So if my listeners want to support you in any way, what's the single best way that we could do that?
Yeah, I would say to just follow me on Instagram on I am That Boy A.B, because everything's going to be kind of platformed off of that. Like if you want to find my Spotify links and listen to my music, you'll be able to do that there. If you want to reach out to me, you can do that there. If you just want to see what I'm up to, you can do that there. So everything's going to be driven off that. We'll have a link tree set up soon. It'll have all the music on there. And I just think making direct connections with people is going to be the best way to do that. So I'm always answering messages. I'm always answering comments, and it's more it's going to be real organic up to a certain point. And I really want people to not just feel like they're part of an audience, right? I want them to be engaged with what I'm doing, and I want to be engaged with what they're doing so I can see where I need to go, where I need to take things, and actually build relationships with people who are going to recommend my music to other people and not just listen to it themselves. Like I want when people listen to what I'm doing or see what I'm doing, I want them to really feel like I care about them. And not just that they're just someone else, in the audience. So I'm really big on that at this point, and that's as valuable as anything else I'm going to be doing. So just hit up the Instagram, and I'm sure I can give you some links to post that with the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And other artists out there too. I can personally vouch for not only your character, but your willingness to support the arts as well. You're always supporting other local musicians, coming out to stuff, showing love, spreading it around. So as much as you get, you give back tenfold. And I can personally vouch for that as somebody who knows you personally.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And this has been awesome too, dude. You have some great questions. I've been watching a lot of the clips, and you start watching the clips, and then they start popping up first on the Instagram, and it's like making me smile because I saw you start, and they're like you said, almost no listeners initially, not really any comments and likes, and now I'm like, this person's got like 50. It's growing, bro. So it's like it's exciting for me to see that too. Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. Well, hopefully our movement grows together, man. And you always got a home here to come back, promote stuff, just tell cool stories, man. Bro, it's been such a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, brother. And the rest of you, check in with us every Thursday, 7:00 in the morning with new episodes. If you like what you heard here today, like, comment, subscribe, and please tell somebody who loves music. Take care of yourselves.